It's been a long time coming, but the official story mode, directly from Media Molecule themselves, has finally been unleashed. I recently played through it in its entirety during one of our live streams, and I wanted to share my thoughts on not only the story mode content itself, but how this sets a standard to aim for and even topple. What we knew beforehand was that the story mode, named Art's Dream, was formed by three unique sections: a surreal point-and-click adventure, a co-op action platformer set in a childlike fantasy world, and a sci-fi puzzle platformer, which also introduced co-op elements later in its own adventure. What I didn't know was how all of these elements would piece together. I'm happy to say they connect extremely well, with everything flowing naturally as the story unfolds. So what exactly is the idea behind Art's Dream? The main character, Art, is a tormented and struggling musician who seems to have had a little bit of a bust-up with the other members of their band, forcing him to go it alone, full of resentment, anger and self-doubt. Art's psychological state is basically manifested throughout the various levels. Each of the characters from the other gameplay segments, Francis, Foxy, Debug and LED, are all in fact childhood toys of Art's, essentially memories of his past which help him to visualise and overcome his deep struggles. The point and click sections are a handy way to showcase the imp character, the default cursor which you use to navigate throughout menus, creating your scenes in edit mode and playing Dreams. It is all very straightforward, with the puzzles and dialogue choices offering a clear path of progression. Normally, this genre is rife with complex and often ludicrous solutions. Thankfully, the difficulty is easy enough for anyone who has never played this type of genre before to progress with ease. Those of you who wanted a more traditional point-and-click adventure experience are sadly not going to receive that, but what you are getting is a fun and quite funny sequence of events. One feature which I had no idea would be part of the game is musical numbers. These are nothing more than a way to collect prize bubbles, which we'll talk about more in a moment, but it's a nice addition and perfectly displays the power of the animation tools both here and in the various other cutscenes you encounter. The dialogue choices are fun and there are some interesting hidden scenes which I didn't find out until later, such as dialing numbers on the old phone rather than the one you need to progress. The prize bubbles that I mentioned are the same concept that were implemented into the Little Big Planet franchise. Any character, object or sound that you come across in Art's Dream can be collected to be used in your own creations or your home space, your own customizable main menu similar to the pod from LBP. These prize bubbles can be found in the most obvious places, beyond some dangerous sections, or hidden completely from sight. Replaying the dream again is almost essential to find everything you may have missed the first time around, offering an extra slice of replayability. Both of the other gameplay sections are very similar, the only real difference being the aesthetic of the world you are platforming around and the weapons you have at your disposal. In the case of Francis and Foxy, they utilise a hammer and what looks like some kind of ninja star. These are used on more than just enemies, with the environment also requiring each of their attacks, such as a slam or hitting something far from range. Debug has an electrical charge activating panels, and LED can use his mechanical trunk to basically inhale and fire out anything as a projectile. Platforming sections are handled very well, with a nice level of difficulty. You can die in a single hit from traps scattered around the level, similar to LBP, but you can take a little extra damage from the occasional enemy. One thing which I found quite surprising in a slightly negative view was the lack of freedom. You can't control the camera, with each linear level essentially on rails, like what you would expect from an early Crash Bandicoot game. I think this criticism comes from the fact that the community levels have already shown a greater amount of depth when it comes to exploration, that Art's Dream feels a little restricted. But I guess that's the point in it all, showing that perhaps the limitations of the story mode are not limitations at all when you consider what the community has produced, and will no doubt eclipse MM's ambitious dream. The only other negative I can touch on is how short the whole experience is, clocking in at a mere 2 hours. It'll hardly keep you playing for more than a play session or two. What makes it so frustrating is that I honestly loved it so much that I wanted more and more, which is a testament to just how well made and entertaining it was to play through. But despite its length and its slight restriction in camera usage and exploration, it embodies everything that Dreams is. Another well-crafted dream which slots nicely into the many others from the community. The lines between MM creations and community ones will certainly be blurred in no time. So at this point we can essentially consider MM just another part of this wonderful, creative, helpful community. At the end of the day, it's all about the community. That's what will truly shape this game into what it is and will become. That's all for today's Dreams video. Have you played Art's Dream? What do you think? Let us know down in the comments below. We would greatly appreciate a like and subscribe if you are new to the channel, as we bring you full coverage of Dreams PS4 plus an assortment of original animations and games of our own. Click to view a collection of our current animations or watch one of our latest videos. You can also subscribe by clicking on our little red imp. See you in the next Dreams video.